am Danielle with ThinkTank-HR. And today's presentation is to be going over the differences between a 1099 employee and a W-2 employee. With both, since most of us on here are 1099 employees, I'm going to speak on behalf of you're going to hire one, and if the places you are working at as a 1099 employee, if they're following compliance as well to differentiate the two. So what is a 1099 employee? 1099 employees are also called contractors, independent contractors. So if anyone's an independent contractor, that means they are 1099, which is a tax form. Independent contractors are not entitled to benefits from the business. And benefits are not just health insurance or retirement. It is also considered gifts, bonuses, swag. If they are gifting you things like they would for a regular employee, that's a big no-no. That can get you into misclassification of employees, which we'll talk about towards the end. But if you are being gifted, I know it's nice, but don't try to accept a gift unless it's swag that they want you to wear to represent them, like shirts and things like that. But benefits do include little things like that. You're also exempt from discrimination laws. Not discrimination laws as in female, male, or ethnicity, not like that. It's more of for your hours worked. You're not qualified for overtime. You're not qualified if you have to leave and you've been a contract employee for 2 years, but you need to take a leave of absence. You're not qualified for FMLA benefits. So that is where it the discrimination happens, is more in the governing laws of how you're paid rather than, other discrimination that we're known for. And 1099, again, it's just a tax form. If you are being paid or paying out for services more than $400, a 1099 tax form does have to be completed. Before I go on to the next step, is there any questions on these bullet points?
So if you make under 400 for a 1099, you don't technically have to claim it with the IRS?
Nope. Yeah, you don't have to claim it. Always, of course, when it comes to your taxes, always, refer back to an accountant or whoever handles your finances. But yeah, if you are doing, let's say you want to do a contract with somebody and it is just for a short term, 3 months, and you're only getting paid $300. You just have a gentleman's agreement between the two of you, and then you don't have to worry about actually filing for that. That depends on how you do your finances. But you don't, if I'm paying you that money, I don't have to 1099 you for 400.
So
thank you.
Is a 1099 form something that I, as the employer, have to give them, or is it just something they utilize when they do taxes on their own?
It is a form, and Ryan, I will email you the form too if you want, but no, it's a form that you are going to have your 1099 contract employee sign off and follow, and that's what you file with your taxes. So it's basically the end of the year form saying how much money you have paid them over the year and what they should be claiming and paying in taxes.
Okay, and that $400 is the total for the year or any given payment?
$400 per contract. So if you have a independent contractor and your contract is only for $399, before you continue services, you can rewrite a contract for your next stint. For the W-2 employees, we've all have received a paycheck from an employer at some point or another. The only difference, again, is the tax form and the way your contract is laid out. When you're a W-2 employee, you are entitled to benefits. You have more state and federal protections based off of your employment, your job description, your hours worked. And instead of you as an employee being responsible to report your incomes, your business does it for you. They also pay a portion of your taxes for Social Security and federal.
So that's really the biggest difference between the W-2 and the 1099 is really the scope of work and the tax form. Now, it's not just about taxes though. It is a lot of little fine details. The biggest difference between an employee and an independent contractor is the amount of control you have. 1099 employees have a lot more freedom than you think they do. When you're a 1099 employee or have a 1099 employee, your employer, the business owner, company, whatever, cannot dictate your hours worked. Your hours worked are what you tell them. A lot of people don't realize that when you have a 1099 employee, they'll say, oh, you work Monday through Friday, 9 to 4. You can't do that. However, you can say, this is a suggested schedule for you to work that fits my needs as a business. What hours can you work within that scope? So instead of saying, hey, I need you to work from here to here, it's more of a way of approach and communication, asking when they can work, and you just kind of word it and, you know, work with them on that. Contractors can also complete assignments using their own methods or work process. Stacy, I'm going to use you as an example. If you were to hire a 1099 contractor to assist with video recording and photography, you can't tell them which camera or lenses to use. You can't tell them what software to use. They get to use whatever they want. And contractors can also, NDAs are very, very rarely held up because an NDA would prevent you to really do your job with other businesses, because at some point it's a conflict because you're performing the same service for different vendors. Is there any questions on freedom or limitations?
Yes, like in my instance, if I brought on, you know, a stylist or a barber as a 1099, and I use very specific product lines within my shop, can I say to them, hey, use what you want within these specific product lines? You can choose what to use, but it has to be one of these product lines. Am I allowed to do that?
Yes, yes. As long as you just don't narrow it down to one. The biggest thing is with independent contractors, you can get away with dictating schedule and, you know, how methods of use or product. It's just a matter of giving them options. So unlike a W-2 employee, you can say, Johnny, you are doing this, this, and this. And if you don't, I'm writing you up. I can do this. I can reprimand you. Contractors don't work that way. You just have to give them the flexibility to make their own decisions within your realm.
Well, and what about like a tire? Like, so for example, my place is an upscale place. Can I give some general guidelines of you can't
Absolutely.
wear fully jeans and t-shirts, you have to dress nice?
Yes, when it comes to dress codes is the one fine line where the business can dictate what they're wearing, because as your dress code is the culture and style of your business. It's your branding of your business, and as you're a 1099 employee, you are representing another business. So when you have an agreement with anyone, dress code you don't ever have to worry about, because it's just, you can, when you go to the grocery store, you have to wear shoes, shorts, you know, it's the same principle. Any other questions on that?
Danielle, going back to the 1099 on the previous slide with the $400 limit, someone just pointed out to me that the IRS says it's $600.
No, it is $400. That has been changed as of the payroll taxes change. So when the administration just passed that new payroll tax savings, the IRS lowered 1099s to $400.
Good to know.
It is not $600 anymore.
Thank you, Danielle.
You're welcome. Since we are on the IRS, When you do have a 1099 employee, they do look at 3 categories to determine the control and independence. And it also, the IRS also looks at it to say if you have a 1099 employee that is misclassified. So the first thing the IRS looks at is behavior. Do you control what your worker does and what they do for their job? This goes into the scheduling that we talked about, and if you're dictating how they can only perform their job. That's a behavioral issue that the IRS does look at. They also look at the financial. If you are a business that has a 1099 employee and your 1099 employee goes and purchases something for your store or to perform their job, do not reimburse them. Unless it states in your contract, you only reimburse your W-2 employees because they're using money to grow your business. As an independent contractor, you are physically and financially responsible to perform the job you were hired for. So again, if you're a 1099 employee, you can't ask to be reimbursed for materials used to perform your job. And as an employer, you cannot reimburse. So they look at that financial aspect as well. The other thing is the type of relationship. Is there a written contract or is it an employment application? Is the relationship permanent? Is it a key aspect of the business of an ongoing need? So your types of relationship is really big here because this is where the misclassification happens the most. The IRS will come, the state will come in, and it's a big no-no. So if you have a position within a company that you know is going to be ongoing, you're going to constantly need the support, you're better off doing a W-2 employee because you're going to build a different type of relationship with that person. A contract for a 1099 employee is only within the short realm of communication. So if you are asking them to continue or going outside of the realm of your contract, it also goes back into a different type of classification. When you're trying to figure out what is better for your business needs, if it is a 1099 or a W-2, if you're going to get in trouble, what is going to be the issue? These are the, the main 3 things that the IRS always first instigates and investigates for it. And they'll come in and ask you questions, and they're going to want to see your contracts if you ever do have an audit. So just like with a W-2 employee, you're going to have a file for your 1099 with their information. And I do want to say that this whole entire presentation is based off of the state of Florida because every state is different for requirements for 1099 versus W-2. Kind of the benefits of the 1099, you don't have to worry about paying their payroll taxes. You don't have to worry about withholding it, or as long as you report it, you're good. Flexibility and independence is really big with being a 1099, and everything about your terms is within your contract. So make sure that you have your contract correctly and the supervision, because if they're not performing their job, they breach a contract, then they either have to pay you for the services and vice versa. So they typically do a little bit of a better job. And they're usually more skilled set. Benefits of a W-2, you have greater control, again, going to that schedule and scope of work. They are covered by workers' compensation and can't sue for work-related injuries, typically. Now, if there's a will, there's always a way. But unlike a 1099, W-2 employees can't really personally go after you. A 1099 can, though. And that is a whole different segment we can talk about if you have further questions. But if a 1099 employee does get hurt on the job, they can actually sue you or your business. Just keep calm and watch out. Misclassifying employees, like I keep stressing that because it does cost a business a lot of money with fines, and then you're in with the IRS and you're paying back taxes. It can be a crazy mess, but if you just really ask yourself those 3 questions about the behavior, financial, and relationship. And if you have a clear, concise description for all three of them, you're good, and you should know if you need a 1099 versus a W-2.
So question with, you know, my business with the event planning. With that, like, so if I need like side help, like if I just needed someone to like every so often, but I wanted to keep the same person, like for a special event, would that be something that each time I would have to redo their 1099 contract, or can I still use the same one, but it's just sporadic throughout the year?
You can use that same contract. You just would word in it that that services being rendered will be an on-call basis and is for duration. It's more of when you have consistency. So if you're a 1099 employee and your employer is saying, I need you absolutely this schedule, this time, and your like it's mainly off of your contract when you're a 1099, but it's consistent. You're always, let's say if you're a 1099 employee answering the phones 3 hours a day, every day at the same place, and you've been doing it for 6 months, that is when the behavioral and the type of relationship becomes different. What is the business needs that that person can't actually be a part-time W-2 employee versus a 1099? The needs are consistent. So why would it be a 1099? Because 1099s are supposed to be contracted services, not continuous services. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, and then the other part of that would be when it's like, say I just don't really no longer need them, would I actually have to verbally be like, okay, like I'm not going to need your services anymore, or is it something I just stop calling them and that's kind of ends it too?
You just stop you stop the communication. So it's kind of one of the things where it's like a benefit of a 1099. You don't really have to worry about releasing an employee and the steps and making sure everything is copacetic. You just basically say, okay, thanks, contracts, you know, we have an open-ended contract and I no longer needed your services. Thank you so much. And it can be a matter of an email or a phone call or a text message. It's just an agreement between the two of you.
Awesome. Thank you. That was it.
Danielle, I have 2 questions. First question, so you know, sometimes Dominic and I will contract our services for other companies. Do we need to make sure that they have a contract stating that we're independent contractors in place? Do you always have to sign a contract?
Yes, you should always have, if you are doing with one vendor and you're doing continuous services, you should have a contract agreement between the two of you. Not only does it protect you as a business owner, it protects them, and it has a full definition of what is to be expected. And then also, as a 1099 employee, if you have a set contract for a set services, you can't be asked to do additional things. When they do ask you to do additional things, then that's when you can say, all right, let's revise our contract, and now our new rate and expectation is this. So it also gives you the opportunity to grow your business because your contract should grow with you as well. This is very general. Like I said, there is a lot of little fine details that makes the difference between a 1099 and a W-2, where your liabilities are. But for high level, just till you understand the practice, understand the needs of your business, this is the greatest tools to kind of look and determine what your needs are for your business. If anyone has any questions, feel free to call or email me. I love helping people, especially when we work for ourselves. I really want to protect us too, because a lot of employers can take advantage of a 1099, and you can also kind of develop your different working relationships when you continue to grow your own business. All right, everyone, thank you so much. Have a great day.